When dealing with our daily emotions that we all face, there can be positive outcomes we control. Is living abundantly really possible for all of us, no matter where we find ourselves today? Absolutely, unequivocally, yes, is the answer. Now, here is the host of The Long Bearded Guy, the Chief Catalyst, Strategist Guide at Jewel International, Gordon D. Melville.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's a long bearded guy, Gordon D. Melville on Inspired Choices Network. Thank you for spending time with me today. Welcome to Red Friday. Welcome to Remembrance Day if you're in any one of the Commonwealth countries today. I'm really, really thankful, deep appreciation and gratitude for people that show up and spend time with me on any Friday, but especially today. I want to just jump into stuff today. And so again, for people that are in Canada, it's Remembrance Day. And what does that mean? It's a day that we stop and remember, and we'll go through some of that through today. But the sacrifice that's been made by other people, whether it was families of or soldiers that went, support people that went, factory people that there was so many bits and pieces to the wars. And I don't just mean Great Wars 1 and 2. I mean Korea, Vietnam, like there's so many different. So we remember all of that. So there's a short poem I want to read real quick that's very popular on Remembrance Day, at least here. We wear poppies at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. We stop and pause for 2 minutes. So I thought about doing that on the radio show. I thought, no, I better not do that on the radio show. 2 minutes of dead air is usually not a good thing. But I did do my own at 11 o'clock this morning, 2 minutes of remembering. But I want to read this short. It's in Flanders Fields. And if you're familiar with it, some people know it. My wife knows it off the top of her head. She quoted it last night when we asked her about it. But it's by John McCrae. I'm going to read it so that I don't mess it up. In Flanders Fields where poppies grow, between the crosses row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky, the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago, we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up your quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we throw, the torch be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Fields. That's the first stanzas of it. And I my deep gratitude and appreciation. And the show today will be around that theme. So, and I will try, I will try to be, there's emotion in this for me. So I'm not going to apologize for that, because I think that's real and it's honest and it's where I'm at. So we always talked about, right from the first show, we talked about being real and honest and authentic. And so, you know what, is it okay to be emotional? Absolutely. Is there deep feeling about some of this? Absolutely. And so I want to make sure that that's shared. There's nothing wrong with that, especially on my platform, talking about empowering men to be engaged with their emotional intelligence. I can't turn around and not be engaged with that. So I won't apologize for it, but I want you to know it's there. I'm excited to have and to be on. You can find us on the Inspired Choices Network app, on Google TV, Apple TV. We were added to. We're on more than 450 platforms globally. And if you happen to be here live with us today, live with me, please jump into the chat and say hi. Let me know you're here. I know there's people that are driving today, that are out and about and maybe listening. You know, Lash, I know it might be on the road listening. I know Betty might be listening. There's a bunch of people. My wife might be listening, and I couldn't do without the support of my wife and my family. And like I say, I know there's people listening, family and friends that are listening. There's a lot going on this weekend. There's a Captor Connection conference happening. I'm speaking on in Sunday from South Africa. It's a virtual thing. I'm not actually flying there. But that's got 17, 18 incredible leaders that are speaking, and I'm honored to be part of that. And so there's so much happening. But I'm really thankful for the people that show up and spend some time with me today. Like it, please. We're trying to expand the reach, right? I mean, we've got more than 100 million, probably more than 400 million reach with all the platforms combined, but we want engagement. I want to be able to talk to you. So jump in the chat, say hi, reach out, continue to reach out. I've had thousands of people reach out with likes and loves and comments and questions and shares and whatnot. Please find, it's a free download. Inspired Choices Network is a free download anywhere you listen to stuff, anywhere. Spotify and Roku and iHeartRadio. There's so many places to watch or listen. Find the long bearded guy, and they're even on the network. There are the other hosts. There's incredible content and amazing hosts on this network. So enjoy everybody. Find me, but enjoy everybody. I want to be able to say hi. There's Betty. Good to see you, hon. Thank you for being here. All right. So, like I say, like it, love it, share it, subscribe to Inspired Choices Network, and then join us. All right. So here we go. I collect myself. All right. So what is Remembrance Day? What does that mean? It's called other things in other places. Some of there's 54 Commonwealth countries, member states, Canada, the United Kingdom, Australia. We all do Remembrance Day today on the 11th of November. Other nations observe a solemn day, but at different dates. So for example, Anzac Day is observed in New Zealand on April 25th. Has the same concept, the same remembrance in terms of people that have sacrificed for our freedom. In South Africa, Poppy Day is marked on the Sunday that falls closest to November 11th. There's a bunch of different places on the planet that remember. Why do we remember? How come? Why do we do it? We do it to honor the people that sacrificed in some, and they didn't have to die necessarily. There's hundreds of thousands that did and have. That's the ultimate sacrifice. But all the people that worked in the factories, the women that had to go into the factories, and the people that went in because they had to, because the men were at war. And so, and back then they didn't let the women join the same way they do now. And so, all the men were there doing their thing, and the women supported them by building munitions and building clothes or making clothes and all the different things that had to go into that. But they sacrificed too. That was part of their life that had and less to do with themselves. You know what I mean? It was a sacrifice they were making. They were doing things they probably didn't want to do. That wasn't part of their life plan, was to work in a factory building bombs or building bullets or making clothes, uniforms for soldiers. That wasn't part of the deal, but they did it anyway. And so we remember that sacrifice because we get to do, especially in Canada, the freedoms, and in the US, we get to do the things we get to do and have the freedom of speech and for all these different things that we can do because of the sacrifice of those people. We wouldn't have that. Second World War, if Germany had come across, we wouldn't have that. If Hitler had won, we wouldn't have some of those things. So to be appreciative of that and grateful for that, we didn't have to do anything so that we can have all these freedoms. They did. Our freedom was built on the back of what they did. And we need to honor and respect and be grateful for that. Whether we agree with some of that or not is a completely different deal. In terms of where the history of where it started, Armistice Day it's also been called, or Remembrance Day as it was known. has become known, originated following the end of the First World War. The armistice agreement was signed between Germany and the Allied forces in Paris on Monday, November 11th of November, 1918 at 0500, 5 a.m. The ceasefire went into effect at 1100 hours. So at 11 a.m., so 6 hours later, that same morning, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. The first armistice day was observed in 1919 on November 6th in the House of Commons. This is in Canada. And then acting Prime Minister of Canada, Sir George Foster, read a message from King George V addressed to all the people of the empire. I won't read you the letter, but it goes in, it basically says thank you. He shows deep gratitude for the sacrifice those hundreds of thousands of people, not just Canadians, but across the world that fought. And in Canada, from sea to sea at a precisely 11 o'clock local time, all businesses, factories, schools, offices, and even traffic used to come to a halt for 2 minutes of silence. A lot of places will still do 2 minutes of silence. I did myself 2 minutes of silence at 11 o'clock to remember. You just stop. Is it worth 2 minutes? There's so many things in our life that we have that we can show gratitude and thankfulness for that don't take only that long. This thought to stop and remember. My good brother, Austin J. Haynes, pause and breathe. What are you doing in that space? Can we stop and remember in that space? Not just about soldiers and whatnot. Thank you, Betty. Not just about remembering for Remembrance Day, but on anything. Can we fill that pause and breathe for 2 minutes? Can we stop for 2 minutes of our day and be grateful for what we have? Can we be thankful for what we have, where we're at? I think we move very quickly through our lives, and a lot of times we're not paying attention. We want more stuff, or we want to be more. We're growing and becoming, and we need to do that. But we need to be grateful and thankful for where we're at. So many people on the planet at the moment don't have what we have. And we need to remember and be thankful, deeply, deeply grateful. You know what? I'm gonna jump ahead myself a little bit here. We need to take a short little break. But before I do, I want to do a couple shout outs to some of my founding sponsor partners who I am ridiculously grateful and thankful for. I remember them regularly, and on the show, I remember them every week. So there's two on here. Kat Schwarz is one of my founding founding sponsor partners. She's the founder and CEO of a groundbreaking company called Compassionate Healing Services and offers a completely unique approach to treating physical and mental health challenges. Check her out on Instagram at Compassionate Healing Services or email her at info@compassionatehealingservices.com. Incredible, incredible lady. She does amazing work, mind-blowing work. And if you haven't talked to her yet, reach out to Kat. Love her. She's amazing. My other shout out at the moment is to my brother, Jose Escobar, is the founder and CEO of the Entrepreneur's Bookshelf. Check out the Connected Leaders Academy membership to take your business to the next level. This is the perfect tribe to learn, grow, and connect like never before. The Connected Leaders Academy tribe brings together some of the highest level entrepreneurs from all over the world. Set up a virtual coffee with Jose Escobar today, and you can reach him at www.theentrepreneur'sbookshelf.com. The Connected Leaders Academy, it's in over 12 countries, more than 225 people. It's a really, really high level mastermind. I'm a member myself. It's incredible. Jose is amazing. Reach out to him. as we go, and thank you to them. Grateful to all of my sponsors. We're going to run real quick. Hi, Sarah. Welcome. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. We're going to run just real quick. But again, as we go to this break, pause and breathe. And as you're pausing and breathing, close your eyes and just hold on to that, remembering and being grateful for the freedoms we have because somebody else was willing to step into the fray and stand on the wall for us. As we go to break, you're with the long-bearded guy, Gordon D. Melville, on Inspired Choices Network. See you in a minute.
How much of our daily success relies on our mindset? Anything we are unaware of can still impact our lives. When dealing with our daily emotions that we all face, there can be positive outcomes we control. Why is the word stigma such a BS misnomer? Is living abundantly really possible for all of us, no matter where we find ourselves today? Join the long-bearded guy, Gordon D. Melville. The Chief Catalyst Strategist Guide at Jewel International invites you to an enlightening, sometimes shocking discussion. He will be challenging you to explore your own answers to these questions and so many more. This will lead you towards living an abundant, successful life no matter how you define it. Gordon D. Melville is live Fridays at 12 noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the long-bearded guy with Gordon D. Melville. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to the longbeardedguy@gmail.com. Now back to the program.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for sticking with and hanging out with me. I appreciate it. The next piece I want to talk about today, and as we're remembering, the title of the show today was With Gratitude We Remember. With gratitude we remember. And we want to remember. And as I was prepping this week, I came across a whole bunch of stories. There are so many stories. There's a movie right now. It's a remake on the Western, All Quiet on the Western Front. It's mind-boggling to me what people did and what they went through. You know, I'll complain because, you know, I get wet. Today it's raining here. And I, run down to the mailbox, or I walk down to the mailbox, but it's raining. So you get wet and you're, oh, that feels yucky. That feels it's uncomfortable. And then you watch people go through stuff that just mind-boggling what they were willing to do. There's one scene in the movie where right at the beginning, where these teenage boys, 4 or 5 teenage boys, they're best buddies. And they want to get into the war, but you had to be a certain age, and the one was underage. And so you needed your parents to sign off to join. And he knew his parents would never sign off. So he forged their signature. A regular thing to do, a regular teen thing to do. But he went on, they all died. Like it, and sorry about the spoiler. Anyway, the stories of valor are incredible. And I came across a few, and if you'll permit me, I would like to read them because they're just short little ones, but I want to read them. And I know that's a little bit weird and outside of this show is going to be a little different than my normal one, but it's important for us to remember. It's important for us to know the stories and to remember these people, not just the masses, right? We see the tombstones as far as you can see in Normandy, and like it's just unbelievable. But what, those are great, and we need to know those things. We need to pay attention to that. But what are the individual stories? What are things that we may have missed or didn't know? And I came across hundreds of stories this week, and I couldn't read them all. I read probably 60, 70 of the stories, but a few that came up. Something called Canary Girls, female munitions, so bombs and bullets and rounds and that kind of thing. Workers in the First World War were known as the Canary Girls because they handled TNT, which turned their skin yellow. Canary Girls. Many reported severe health problems and even gave birth to yellow babies. That's how deep it was. Female workers inspect 9.2-inch high explosive shells in the bond room of an English munitions factory during World War I, about 1915. The women also risked amputation, burns, and blindness from handling shells. Fatal blasts were recorded in at least 2 factories. That's, yeah, dedication to your job, sacrifice they're talking about. A betrayed British spy, somebody named Noor Inayat Khan, was recruited to the Special Operations Executive as a radio operator. In June 1943, so Second World War, she was secretly flown to France to work with the resistance. Although many operatives around her were arrested, she chose to stay, sending intelligence back to London. But in October, she was betrayed by a French woman and arrested by the Gestapo. In 1944, she was transferred to Dachau concentration camp in Germany and was shot on September 13th. She was posthumously awarded the George Cross in 1949. People sticking up for other people and leaving themselves in. She knew she was in harm's way and stayed, chose to stay. That's not only intestinal fortitude, that's deep, deep, deep character. And it's commitment and loyalty to not just your country, but to your freedom. John Hanna was an airborne hero. Flight Sergeant John Hanna, a wireless operator and air gunner, was targeting German barges in Belgium when his aircraft was hit and both fuel tanks were set alight. The other gunner and the aviator bailed out, but he stayed to extinguish the flames. With bad burns to his eyes and face, he helped the pilot navigate back to the base. He was only 18. He was awarded the Victoria Cross. 18 years old. Heroes are regular people that do extraordinary things in a moment, literally in the heat of the moment. And people say, well, maybe I could do that. Maybe you could, maybe you couldn't. But until you get into a situation like that, a lot of times I don't think you know. The toughest people sometimes crack easily when they put in situations like that. And some people that you look at and go very unassuming, I don't think they could do that based on who I know they are. And they do, they step into 18 years old. The outside of the pilot, everybody else bailed out. The Great War's youngest Victoria Cross was John Jack Travers Cornwall. John, or Jack as he was known, was 14. My son's 13. 14 when he joined the Royal Navy as the First World War broke out, and just 16 when he found himself serving on the HMS Chester on May 31st, 1916 during the Battle of Jutland. The ship was caught in fierce fighting, but although gravely injured, Jack stayed at his gun with dead and injured comrades all around him until the action was over. He died 2 days later of his wounds, but his captain wrote to his mother, his devotion to duty was an example for us all. His Victoria Cross was announced in September of 2016. 16 years old. We need 2 minutes to remember, and it shouldn't be just once a year. A doctor's courage. Dr. Noel Chavas was the only man to get the Victoria Cross and bar in the First World War. The Royal Army Medical Corps officer won his Victoria Cross in 1916 after treating the wounded under fire at the Battle of Guillemont. He died helping troops during the Third Battle of Ypres in 1917, aged 32, and was posthumously given the bar for his heroics a month later. People paid attention, and I apologize if I'm messing up the names. It's anybody ever heard of him? Dr. Noel Chavas? I hadn't heard of some of these people, had never heard of some of these people. An orphan's savior, Scottish Holocaust heroine Jane Haining. Scottish missionary Jane Haining had spent years as a matron in a Jewish orphanage in Budapest. There were 400 girls under her care there. And after the Second World War began, she refused to leave the country. She cared enough to stay. She chose to stay. Even when the Nazis invaded in 1944, she stayed. Finally, she was arrested and taken to Auschwitz, where she died 47. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Sorry about the paper shuffle. Valiant operators, Elspeth Green Nee Anderson. On August 30, 1940, Sergeant Joan Mortimer, Flight Officer Elspeth Henderson, and Sergeant Helen Turner were on duty as teleprinter operators at RAF Biggin Hill in Kent when the Luftwaffe attacked. 39 died. Elspeth was knocked down but refused to budge. She didn't leave, as did Helen when her building was hit, and Joan stayed put in the armory, surrounded by high explosives. I'm just one quick last one. It was called Rock Hard Veteran Bill Speakman. He got a Victoria Cross. He ran out of ammunition during the Battle of Mariang Sang in the Korean War in 1951. So he charged at the enemy. He ran out of ammunition. And the only thing I got left is me to throw at them. So he did. Inspired, 6 others from Black Watch, Royal Highland Regiment, joined the 24-year-old. So Speakman was 24. These other 6 Royal Highland Regiment gentlemen, joined him lobbing rocks, mess tins, and beer bottles. He won his heroics won him a Victoria Cross and let his pals withdraw safely. He died aged 90 in 2018. Some people, some of those, the people we're talking about, some of them died. Some of them died. And that's the ultimate sacrifice. The ultimate sacrifice was paid. They didn't just give some, they gave all. Not just some, they gave all. Amazing. How much do we do? How much do we remember? How much do we do in terms of other people? How attentive are we to the people around us? a situational awareness, right? We may never ever get put in a space where we have to step up or hold on or choose to stay and put fire out or risk our life. We may never have to do that. But can we be aware of what's going on around us? Can we watch what's happening around us? Can we be grateful for the people around us that are helping us get to where we need to be? There are so many stories of bravery. There's so many stories of valor. And you know what? We're talking about some of the stuff is World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam. There, I have some friends that have been in Iraq. I've got colleagues that have been in Desert Storm, or that we're remembering them too. All of the stuff that people that are right now. And I don't know if you do that. I do a thing on Fridays. Some part of my outfit, my clothing is red. Red Fridays. RED. Remember everyone deployed. Why? Because we need to remember. We need to remember. It's important to remember. There's still people in harm's way. There's still people sacrificing for us and are in a space. We trust them to stand between us and harm's way. And at the end of the day, we need to be able to take some time to remember and appreciate and be thankful for that. November 11th, it's an incredible way to pay forward and to pay back, and to let us set into that. We need to be able to remember. We need to hold that attitude of gratitude for the freedoms we have. We absolutely have to do that. I need to take another quick break. But I want to just real quick shout out again to my good brother, great friend, mentor, Jose Escobar. He's the founder and CEO of the Entrepreneur's Bookshelf. Check out the Entrepreneur's Bookshelf to learn more about the morning and evening routine mastery program that's changing people's lives. This program will help you install systems on the bookends of your day to maximize your morning and evening routine. Set up your free strategy session with Jose Escobar today, and you can reach him at www.theentrepreneur'sbookshelf.com. Incredible. That's an incredible program. If you're not bookending, if you're not doing things and have a routine first to start your day and end your day, you're not maximizing, you're not to the level you could be maximizing your efficacy and the way your days are running. The other one I want to point out or shout out to is my good friend, Kat Schwarz, is the owner and founder at Compassionate Healing Services. If you email her at info@compassionatehealingservices.com and mention the long bearded guy, that's me, you'll receive 20% off one of her services. That's $100 savings off Kat's most unique offering of spiritual private investigation services. Kat will use her skills as an evidential medium to reconnect you with a loved one who's crossed over and provide proof of their continued presence in your life. Email her at info@compassionatehealingservices.com, and don't forget to mention the long bearded guy, and you'll get 20% off the service. Incredible lady. She provides an amazing service. If there's no energy created or destroyed, that means as people transition, as people pass, their energy is still here. So you know what? Reach out to her. All right. So as we go to a quick break, don't forget to pause and breathe. Have an attitude of gratitude, and we'll see you on the other side. You're with the long bearded guy, Gordon D. Melville, on Inspired Choices Network. See you in a minute.
How much of our daily success relies on our mindset? Anything we are unaware of can still impact our lives. When dealing with our daily emotions that we all face, there can be positive outcomes we control. Why is the word stigma such a BS misnomer? Is living abundantly really possible for all of us, no matter where we find ourselves today? Join the long-bearded guy, Gordon D. Melville. The Chief Catalyst Strategist Guide at Jewel International invites you to an enlightening, sometimes shocking discussion. He will be challenging you to explore your own answers to these questions and so many more. This will lead you towards living an abundant, successful life no matter how you define it. Gordon D. Melville is live Fridays at 12 noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Long-Bearded Guy with Gordon D. Melville. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to thelongbeardedguy@gmail.com. Now back to the program.
Hi, everybody. All right. So we're having fun. We're learning and remembering the sacrifices that have been made so that we can have what we have, so that we can have the freedoms that we have and that we enjoy and that we take for granted a lot of times. How often do we think about it when we can get up and go out and drive where we want, get in a bus, call an Uber, and just go wherever, where we can say things about our government that in a lot of places on the planet they can't say. They're not allowed. Well, they can, but then they get arrested or they get imprisoned or they don't have the right and the freedom to do that. How many freedoms do we have? We think sometimes, I know during COVID, lots of people, oh, my freedom's been. Really? Our freedoms are there because people are sacrificing today, but that have for a long time. And we need to be able to honor that. The next piece I want to talk about just real quick is the poppy. Where did it come from? How did it come up? Where is it from? And it's an interesting story, actually. Millions of people and Canadians, but I think all over the world, but I know millions of Canadians put one on their lapel. Sometimes it pops off. I was told probably shouldn't have a pin in it. Normally a pin, and I don't know if you know that about a poppy, it's got the black dot in the middle and then the pin that goes through and it sticks out. And a lot of times we lose the poppy, right? We buy another one, then we buy another one, and then we buy another one. And we just keep losing them because the pin pops out. If you put the pin in, the way they tell me at the Legion, you put the pin as you push the pin through your clothes and you embed it you put it through just a little edge, just catch a little bit of the edge of the poppy as it goes in, and it won't go away. I'm like, oh, you know what? There's a hack. There's a life hack that would make things easier for me. But anyway, obviously we wear it to remember, to remind ourselves, and to be a visual thing that we can see, tangible. People have made sacrifices in the world, in hotspots, Cyprus, Bosnia, recently, and Afghanistan, Iraq, and all that. That's current, right? We all know about World War I, World War II, and in Europe, and in that space, in that area. The story of how a poppy became the symbol of remembrance has varying origins. But the overall basis of the wearing a poppy is, without question, Captain John McCrae's poem In Flanders Fields, which I read to you at the beginning. Some claim that a young New Yorker by the name of Moira Michaels was the first to wear a poppy as a means of keeping the faith after reading a copy of In Flanders Fields. During a meeting at the YMCA, Wartime Secretaries in New York, which was hosted by Miss Michaels, she had been given a small monetary gift by visiting delegates. She thanked them for the gift and said that she would use the money to purchase poppies, relating them to them John McCrae's poem, which had been her inspiration. Amongst them was the representative from France, Madame E. Guerin, who was in turn inspired to take this idea home. In 1921, Madame Guerin and a group of French war widows approached the former British Commander-in-Chief Earl Haig at the Legion headquarters in London about the idea of selling artificial poppies to raise monies to help needy soldiers and their families. The Legion had first been formed to help veterans and their families who had been left impoverished during the World War. And Haig was quick to adopt their idea as an excellent method to both honor the dead and help the living. We all have, I think we all know what the Legion is. We have one, they're all over the place. Poppies indeed became significant as a remembrance of war, as prior to the Great War, poppies were rare in the fields of Flanders. This is very interesting. It is said that the chalk soil of Flanders became rich in lime due to the rubble produced by the massive bombardments of battle. The earth that was stirred up by so many artillery shells in turn released the poppy seeds that would not normally have had the chance to germinate. They spread prolifically across the fields until it appeared as a sea of red, perhaps a fitting ironic symbolism of the blood spilled by so many for so little. And you know what? It was for so much at the time. And the story dates back First World War. And even Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae, who wrote the poem, lost his friend in the Battle of Ypres. As he was grieving the loss of comrade Lieutenant Alex Helmer, he spotted scores of poppies growing in the battle-torn fields. This poignant sight inspired him to write In Flanders Fields, one of the most famous war poems of all time. Anna Guerin was also promoting the idea of the poppy as a symbol of remembrance at the time. She came to Britain with two of her daughters, but when the First World War broke out, she moved to the US, where she immediately began fundraising for those made destitute by war. Again, people thinking outside, they're being grateful for what they have, and they're stepping out. So whether she was in a bomber, was a gunner or was on a battlefield, or was in a trench, or it doesn't matter where she was. She found where she was and fixed, and did what she could, right? She by the end of 1920, she had been responsible for poppy days in several US states and was turning her attention further abroad. In September 1921, she arrived in Liverpool and set out for London, convinced that she could persuade the British Legion to accept her idea. In 1921, she did just that. The first ever poppy appeal distributed 9 million poppies, raising 106,000 pounds. Following World War I, the poppy was then adopted as a symbol of remembrance. We wear one today, even. All those, that's what, 1921. And we're in what? 2022. That's more than 100 years we've been remembering. We need to remember. If some of this stuff is resonating, and if you're a regular listener, if you're somebody that you know what my mission is, 10 million men. I want to have a meaningful connection with 10 million men in the next 24 months, with a message of hope that says there are positive ways to deal with the emotions, the stress and anxiety and depression, all the things we feel every day. But as guys, we were taught not to let anybody see. And off the top, I had talked about being emotional and that being okay. We need to have some. It's not about, putting a smile on and never being crying and never being upset. That's not real. That's not real. We need to be real. And so I want to have that kind of connection. And so, and the reach of people. Part of the reason I'm doing these shows is to connect to people globally, is to connect to my avatar would be entrepreneurial men, but I'll work with anybody. If you're hearing something or somebody, if you're a lady or a mom or a daughter, and you're hearing stuff that you go, you know what, my dad, my brother, my uncle, my son, needs to hear this. Please share it. Please share it. I have programs through Jewel International is my company, and we do group coaching. We do one-on-one coaching. I keynote speak all over the place. I can help. There's lots of ways. And if I can't, I know lots of people that can. I'm connected to thousands of people, probably hundreds of thousands of people, but certainly thousands. I know hundreds of coaches. If there's something that you need, please reach out, ask. You can reach me at thelongbeardedguy@gmail.com is the easiest way to get a hold of me. Send me an email. Hey, Gord, can we connect? If you're looking for service, ask. We're constantly reaching out. We're constantly trying to plug in. And at the moment, we're trying, Betty, to your question, we're in the process of trying to collect that data to get the counter started. So bear with me, stay tuned. It'll come, but we're the fact that we have reach above 100 million for this show is mind-boggling to me, wildly humbling. But it means the potential is there. And as things continue to roll and things are just skyrocketing and expanding and scaling huge, that without me doing anything beyond what I'm doing. I'm asked to speak. I'm asked to jump into some more books. I'm writing 7 books at the moment. There's so many things going on, but if you connect to the message, reach out, like it, love it, share it, email me. If you know people that need help, or would benefit from some one-on-one, or from some time in a group, something that's a little less expensive to jump into a group. But however you need to connect, please reach out. I'm here to help. We need to do it ahead, because we need to put the tools in our toolbox before we get into stress and into trouble, because it's very difficult to see the help when we're in the middle of the challenge. So please do that. Remember, in terms of our theme, remember to reach out. We need to take another quick break. We'll be back momentarily to wrap up and do our call to action and finish up tonight, or this afternoon, I guess. It's not tonight. I'm getting ahead of myself. You're with the long-bearded guy, Gordon D. Melville, on Inspired Choices Network. We'll talk to you in a few minutes. Thank you so much.
How much of our daily success relies on our mindset? Anything we are unaware of can still impact our lives. When dealing with our daily emotions that we all face, there can be positive outcomes we control. Why is the word stigma such a BS misnomer? Is living abundantly really possible for all of us, no matter where we find ourselves today? Join the long-bearded guy, Gordon D. Melville. The Chief Catalyst Strategist Guide at Jewel International invites you to an enlightening, sometimes shocking discussion. He will be challenging you to explore your own answers to these questions and so many more. This will lead you towards living an abundant, successful life no matter how you define it. Gordon D. Melville is live Fridays at 12 noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is the Long-Bearded Guy with Gordon D. Melville. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to thelongbeardedguy@gmail.com. Now back to the program.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for still being here. Thank you so much. Hey, Jackie, great to see you. It's great. I had a really good conversation. She's one of the other hosts on the network. If you haven't popped in to see Jackie, listen to, she's amazing. And yeah, you want to listen to her. Thank you, Betty, for being here. Thank you, Leah, for being here. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for the people that I know are listening, Lasha and the different bits and pieces. I really appreciate you spending time with me. I really do. I want to just a couple quick facts about Remembrance Day as we finish up here. It was first observed 1919, British Commonwealth. Armistice Day was how it was originally remembered, to commemorate armistice. And on Monday, November 11th, 1918 at 11 a.m. on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. From 1921 to 1930, Armistice Day was held on the Monday of the week in which November 11th fell. I thought that was interesting, so it moved around a little bit. In 1931, Alan Nell, member of parliament for Comox Alberni, I think that's how you say that, introduced a bill to observe Armistice Day only on November 11th. Passed by the House of Commons, the bill was changed the name to Remembrance Day. The first Remembrance Day was then observed November 11th on this day in 1931. Every year on November 11th, Canadians pause in a moment of silence to honor and remember the men and women who served, and other. There were animals, there were lots of things. So we remember everybody and continue to serve Canada during times of war, conflict, and peace. We remember the more than 2.3 million Canadians who have served throughout our nation's history, and the more than 118,000 who made the ultimate sacrifice. The poppy is a symbol of Remembrance Day. Replica poppies are sold by the Royal Canadian Legion to provide assistance to veterans. You want to, and I know legions are dying, they're going away. So we need to put the money and the time into them. We need to remember. Remembrance Day is a federal statutory holiday in Canada. So I believe the banks are closed. Schools are open, grocery stores and whatnot, but the federal government stuff are closed. Yeah, that's Canadian stuff. The national ceremony is held at the National War Memorial in Ottawa. The Governor General of Canada presides over the ceremony. It is also attended by the Prime Minister, other government officials, representatives of veterans organizations. In advance of the ceremony, long columns of veterans, Canadian Armed Forces members, RCMP officers, and cadets march to the memorial led by a pipe band and color guard. At the end of the ceremony, they march away to officially close the ceremony. My youngest son, Isaac, is a cadet with the 80th here in town in Kitchener, and he's just started to do that. It's incredible organization. He's just in the few months he's been in, has blossomed all over the place, and he was so proud today to put he had to get permission to wear his uniform to school to be part of their Remembrance Day ceremony today. So proud of him for that. The call to action today is quite simply to remember and reach out, whether it's to a veteran, to the Legion, support, wear a poppy, be grateful, have an attitude of gratitude, whether it's for veterans, whether it's for our freedoms, whether it's for the things that we have and the things that we're able to do, the things we're able to say, the places we're able to go, freedom of religion, freedom of speech. That was paid for in blood. Literally, without hyperbole, that was paid for in blood. We need to remember. It's a solemn day. It's a special day. We need to remember. Reach out to me if you have questions, comments, concerns. Please, 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 I'm here to help however I can. Next week, we're going to talk about something called the No Wake Zone. No Wake Zone, WAKE, No Wake Zone. It's an interesting concept. I think you'll enjoy that. It's a concept that we need to remember. But come and find out what happens in a no wake zone. For our boaters out there, what's a no wake zone? You'll know what a no wake zone is if you've had done any boating. If you're familiar with that, you have your boating license, you'll know what a no wake zone means when you see signs like that. I want you to remember to make it. You have the power to do that. Make it another great week. I love you. Big, big hugs. Always, always. Live abundantly and with intention. Be good to each other. Remember. See you next week. I love you all. Big hugs. Thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into the Long Bearded Guy Show. You are appreciated and loved. Gordon D. Melville returns Fridays at 12 noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on the InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Until then, make it another great week, leading with love, powerfully designing, crafting, and living out your positively impactful legacy life you were created for. Big hugs!